COVID proved that even highly educated people can be easily manipulated, and this 1950s experiment explains why.
It's very easy to get the majority of people to believe the wrong thing. Take the COVID shots. Why did the entire medical establishment insist they were safe way back in December of 2020 when very little was known about them? The participants in the Pfizer trial were observed for an average of only 6 weeks. Moreover, there were 3 major problems with the modified RNA technology that were not known at the time. First, once injected, the modified RNA migrates all over the body. Wherever they went, cells would be damaged. 2. The modified RNA coded for the spike protein of the SARS-CoV-2 virus. Only later did we realize just how toxic this protein was all by itself. And 3, doctors had no idea how long a person vaccinated with these products would continue to synthesize the toxic spike protein. They just trusted the FDA, and they never confirmed for themselves. With so many unknowns, why did so many doctors and medical professionals assure their patients that they were rigorously tested for safety? To answer that question, we need to go back to 1951 and the Asch conformity experiments. Solomon Asch was a Gestalt psychologist who conducted a series of elegant experiments which quantified the tendency human beings have to conform to groupthink. These studies have been replicated and closely studied by the CIA. Participants in the study were given a task to identify which of 3 lines of different lengths matched the length of a referent line. Asch first proved that the task was indeed very simple. Without any influence from others, they identified the correct line 99.3% of the time. However, something very interesting happened when they were placed in a group. The subjects incorrectly assumed that they were in a group of individuals who, like themselves, endeavored to select the correct line. Unbeknownst to them, they were surrounded by actors who were all instructed to offer the same incorrect response on occasion. And on those occasions, Asch found that the subject's ability to identify the correct line was significantly eroded. Subjects underwent the same experiment a number of times, and in the end, 1/3 of responses conformed to a majority's incorrect response, and only 1 in 4 subjects were completely unaffected by groupthink over the course of the experiment. In the Asch experiment, it was very easy to pick the right answer. In the real world, say with vaccine data, the answer is never that obvious. We can surmise that with more uncertainty, there will be more conformity. There was also no reward for getting the answer right, and no punishment for getting it wrong. Asch found something even more interesting. The proclivity to conform to an obviously incorrect majority opinion was almost entirely extinguished if there was a single dissenter among the actors. All it took was 1 actor to identify the correct response for the subject to regain their own discernment. It is much easier to be a part of a group, no matter how small, than it is to stand alone. Has the medical orthodoxy been hijacked by groupthink? Or will they eventually shift their understanding if and when counterfactual evidence emerges? We can know by answering 1 question. Is it willing to be challenged? Are voices of dissent allowed at the table? That is the question to which the Asch experiments lead us. Solomon Asch found that it is not so hard to get people to accept a set of beliefs, even if they're illogical and incomplete, without question. So to my colleagues in medicine who still think the system is flexible enough to get on the right track if necessary, ask yourself, how do you know that if no dissenters are allowed at the table? If you're like the majority of the dozens of medical professionals I know with whom I have had face-to-face conversations about this question, I know what your response will be. There may be dissenting opinion, but there isn't any legitimate dissenting opinion. But who grants legitimacy to an opinion besides us? How would you know if a dissenting opinion is legitimate if it is never openly considered? The COVID years will stand as another example, proving that even highly educated people can be easily manipulated if exposed to a disinformation campaign disguised as scientific legitimacy.